4 days ago, Elon Musk became the richest human being who has ever lived. Not a billionaire, a trillionaire. The first one ever. And then he did something insane. Before the confetti even hit the floor, he spent $60 billion on a coding app. But here's the part nobody's explaining to you. He didn't spend a single real dollar to do it. And that $1 trillion? He can't actually touch it until 2027. So this isn't really a finance story. It's a magic trick. And once you see how the trick works, you'll never look at a billionaire the same way again. Let me pull back the curtain. Okay, the headline first. On June 12th, SpaceX went public on the Nasdaq under the ticker SPCX. It was the single biggest IPO in the history of the planet. The company raised $75 billion in a single day, more than double the previous record. The stock priced at $135 a share. It opened at $150, closed around $161, up 19%. Then it just kept climbing, past $220. At its peak, SpaceX was worth almost $3 trillion, worth more than Amazon, worth more than Microsoft. And Elon Musk's slice of it pushed him over the line, officially the world's first trillionaire. Cue the headlines, cue the outrage, cue the "eat the rich" comments. But here's where it gets weird, because that $1 trillion isn't money. It's a number on a screen. See, almost all of Musk's wealth is just SpaceX stock that he owns. And owning stock is not the same as having cash. It only becomes money the day you sell it. So here's the punchline. Musk's shares, all 6.4 billion of them, are locked up. He is legally barred from selling a single one until June of 2027. The world's first trillionaire can't spend his trillion. It gets better. Of all the SpaceX shares that exist, only a tiny sliver, reported around 4%, actually trades freely. Everything else is frozen, held by insiders and employees on a staggered release schedule. And when a stock has a float that thin, a small crowd of eager buyers can rocket the price and the valuation to the moon. Which means that $3 trillion price tag is real and incredibly fragile at the same time. When I spent years forecasting numbers at Amazon, we had a simple rule. A number isn't real until it clears the bank. By that rule, Musk's trillion hasn't cleared anything. So now we have a mystery. If the trillion is locked in a vault until 2027, how did he just buy a $60 billion company 4 days later? That's where the trick gets genuinely brilliant. Today, June 16th, SpaceX announced it's buying a company called Anysphere. You probably know their product, Cursor, the AI coding tool every developer is obsessed with. The price tag? $60 billion. Now your brain assumes that means 60 billion in cash changed hands. It didn't. Not $1 of the 75 billion he just raised was touched. Because this was an all-stock deal. Instead of paying with money, SpaceX paid with SpaceX. Here's the move, and this is the whole secret. When your company is public, your stock basically becomes a kind of money you're allowed to print. Need to buy something? Don't open the checkbook. Just create brand new shares out of thin air and hand them over. So SpaceX is minting roughly $60 billion of new stock and giving it to Cursor's owners.
$60 billion against a company worth almost $1,800 billion is only about 3%. Picture the whole company as one giant pizza. He didn't pay cash. He just sliced off about 3% of everybody's pizza and handed it to Cursor. Every existing shareholder's slice got a tiny bit smaller, and most won't even feel it. That, right there, is the superpower of going public. Cash is finite. You can run out of it. But stock? You can print stock for as long as the market keeps believing in you. So think about what the IPO really did. Everyone said it was about raising $75 billion. It wasn't. It was about turning SpaceX into a $3 trillion printing press. The cash was the appetizer. The currency was the main course. The IPO was never about the money. It was about the ammunition. Which leaves the strangest question of all. Why on earth does a rocket company want a coding app? Here's the piece most people missed. Back in February, SpaceX quietly merged with Elon's AI company, xAI. So SpaceX now owns Grok, the chatbot, and it owns X, the app formerly called Twitter. SpaceX isn't just rockets anymore. It's an AI company wearing a rocket costume. And in the AI coding race, xAI was losing. Badly. Microsoft had GitHub Copilot. Anthropic had Claude Code. Google had its own. xAI had basically nothing developers actually wanted to use. And then there's Cursor. Cursor blew past $2 billion in annual revenue, the fastest growing software company ever recorded. 50,000 businesses pay for it. Engineers at OpenAI, Stripe, and Spotify use it every single day. So Musk didn't try to build a competitor. He just bought the winner. And he got something even more valuable than the product. Data. Every keystroke, every fix, every "make this code better" typed inside Cursor can be used to train Grok. He just bought millions of the best engineers on Earth, quietly teaching his AI how to code. Now connect the dots. Rockets launch satellites. Satellites beam internet. The plan is data centers in orbit, AI to run all of it, and now an army of developers feeding the machine. It's not a rocket company. It's a flywheel.
And how confident is Musk that this deal closes? He agreed to a $10 billion breakup fee if SpaceX walks away, and a separate $4 billion fee if regulators block it for being too powerful. He bet $10 billion that he wins. So step back and look at the whole magic trick from above. Inflate a sky-high valuation. Take it public. Turn the stock into currency. Use that currency to buy real companies with real revenue. Then, do it again. And here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't even new. It's how Google, Cisco, and Facebook swallowed hundreds of companies before him. Musk is just running the oldest playbook on Wall Street at a speed and scale nobody has ever seen. But every magic trick has a way it can go wrong. The whole thing runs on one ingredient: belief. That thin float that sent the stock soaring, it works in reverse too. If people stop believing and SPCX falls, the currency loses its buying power, and those locked up paper billions can shrink fast. The first real test comes in late July, when the first wave of insiders is finally allowed to sell. Now, none of this is investing advice. I'm not telling you to buy or avoid anything.
I'm showing you how the machine actually works. Because here's the lesson that matters for you, and you don't need a rocket for it. There is a giant difference between a number and money, between net worth and cash in hand. Anyone who feels rich on paper, home equity, stock options, a crypto wallet, is playing a smaller version of Elon's exact game. The trick only ever pays off the day the paper turns into something real. So I'll leave it to you. Is Elon Musk a genius? Or is this the biggest bubble in history? Tell me in the comments. I read them, and I'll pin the smartest take. And if you want the FP&A breakdown behind the headlines instead of the hype, subscribe. That's the whole point of this channel.